Hello everyone and welcome back to another tier list ranking video here on my channel for the Eurovision season of 2025. Today I'm focusing all about Malta and their national final, which is actually starting today. They have semifinal 1 taking place tonight and semifinal 2 taking place on Thursday before the big final for selecting Malta's Eurovision entry for 2025 on Saturday. Today I'm going to be talking about all 24 of the songs that are competing in their national final. I think they're somewhat ordered from like the first 12 are from the first semifinal and then the other 12 are from the other one. So we'll see as we go along where I will rank all of these songs on my tier list here. I think when you have national finals this big in terms of the amount of songs, it's kind of difficult for me to really get heavily invested into them. But all the more power to Malta that they want to incorporate so many artists and actually give everyone a fair chance. So I think that's admirable. It's just that for me, who's trying to keep up with every single national final, this one's been a bit of a struggle to really delve into. However, there are a few standouts in this selection, I must say, and I will be sharing which ones those are for me in this video, so stick around for that. I will be starting right away, kicking the entire list off with Hideaway by Mark Anthony Bartolo here, which is a sweet enough tune. I think it's clear in its storytelling. It has some clarity in the arrangement for sure. However, I find it to be quite a repetitive listen, particularly towards the end, and I would say that maybe the song isn't that interesting to me anyway. It's still quite sweet, and I don't really have anything against it, but it's kind of the straight up a D tier song for me. It's not particularly interesting to me anyway, and the repetition is a little bit underwhelming for me. But it has its moments, so D tier seems about right for me anyway. I think it's actually going to get some company as well from the second song that I'm talking about. This one is Te Amo by Dre Curmi, I'm guessing. And this song doesn't maybe sound particularly fresh in 2025, but maybe that's not really the ambition either. It's kind of tacky, but it's also quite catchy, I will admit. I'm not particularly impressed with it. The production leaves a lot to be desired for sure, but it has a hook, and for that, I think a D tier is warranted for that one as well. The hook is something that can be easily remembered, so that's something. Next up is Silenced by Raquela, and this song has some very pretty piano work. I very much like that aspect of it. There's kind of like also a clear sense of ambition to develop this tune, so that it kind of progresses in a neat way. I'm not particularly fond of like the digital approach that they went for in terms of this ambition to develop the song. I would have probably preferred it to go in a different approach, but it is the way it is. Certainly a lot of the focus of this song has been put on the vocal, and that of course will really be decided how good of an idea that is when we see it live. At the moment, maybe I find that to be a bit distracting. I don't find the overall song as it progresses to be overly engaging. I think mostly the thing is that I like the idea of the song more than I like the song itself. Still, I find it to be quite solid, so I'm placing this one in the C tier. It's it's in the decent area for me anyway. And something that is even higher than that, I would say, is Heaven Sent here by Kristy Spiteri. And if I've understood it correctly, this is one of the big favorites to take it, I guess. And it's completely reasonable. I think this is a very attention-grabbing kind of song. Like there are these very heavy sections of drama within the song that definitely strike a chord with me. I like the dynamic vocal performance of this a lot. I think it's very flashy and quite extra, you know, in a way that could easily become too much, but I find the dynamic shifts of it to be quite fun, really, and actually add something to the song. There's some strong tension in here. There's energy during the choruses. For me, the breakdown section feels very overblown to me, so I don't really connect with that part of the song. Of course, it has its redeeming qualities as well, and for many listeners, maybe that part is like an extra oomph and extra attention-grabbing moment that really sells it for them. I find it a bit excessive. The song is certainly a song that could impress massively vocally, and that's probably what they're going for. There's also really cool tempo automation to finish the song off with, so a lot of positives about this one. I'm placing it in the A tier. I think it's just a very, very strong effort in this selection. Next up is Control by Matthew Cilia. And I'm so confused, like, is the group called Matthew Cilia? It doesn't seem like the name for a group, or they just named, like they're doing a Bon Jovi thing where they name the group after the singer maybe. Regardless, that's not relevant at all. I'm very, very fond of like having these kinds of songs within national finals. I want more rock in Eurovision in general, and I want more of like 2000s alternative rock music, because I feel like we never have that really, and I very much like that here. So yeah, I'm very, very fond to have a song like this in the selection. It has a convincing sound. It's very refreshing to have a song like it. Not particularly convincing in the production here, I have to be honest. It lacks some energy, it lacks a palpable hook probably, but all around I think it's quite fine, so that's somewhat. The growling I wouldn't say is particularly convincing here, unfortunately, and then I don't really know what the point of it, like to include it, is, but hey, they wanted to incorporate it, so all the more power to them, but I don't find it sound that great in this particular song. But yeah, I really want more songs within this genre to appear in Eurovision, but this one, it has some work to do. I still find it to be solid, so I'm placing it in the C tier. Next up is Wildflower by Marie Claire here, which is a song that has some kind of warmth in the concept for sure. She carries it quite well vocally, but ultimately this one is quite uninteresting to me, unfortunately. It has a melodically somewhat memorable hook, yes, but the instrumental I feel is quite uninspired and lifeless really. And I checked out completely at the attempt of this anthemic clap along section towards the end of the song that just lacked substance entirely, and that part just kind of pushed it over the line for me for like, okay, this is simply not for me anymore. E tier for Wildflower, not a fan of that one. Maybe someone else can be, and then great for them. Still I Rise here by Justine Shorfid. I'm just kind of guessing with the names here, but Justine here with Still I Rise. This is a little cool tune, like it has some cool ideas in here. I have a very big soft spot for drum and bass music in general, and I think this one has something in it that's doing it quite well. It has this gradual build. They're really playing around with the cutoff filter to really emphasize the energy being used from the drumming here. The gradual build it feels kind of intense and purposeful because of that. Vocals as well, they grab the attention for sure, absolutely, and the choruses with this drum and beat pattern are quite effective and memorable. It's a bit static in its structure, which I think is a setback for the song. The transitions are very rough, but all around I'm enjoying it, so I'm placing it in the B tier, I think. Next up is Festa No Time for Siesta by JVT here. This is my favorite song title of the selection for sure. And it's very much in alignment with what kind of song it is. This is happy, and then it's also very, very happy. And it's all about just being happy and have a good time. And it's to the point where I feel like, okay, this is just way too much. I do not connect with it. This song has about as much substance or depth as a puddle, really. And that is, I don't think they really set out to do much else with the song. There is a little bit of dynamics in here. I mean, there are 3 vocalists and they're kind of taking turns within the verses, so that's something. But other than that, it's just about, hey ho, we're happy and a little bit more happy. And I'm not feeling that happy when I listen to it. I'm sorry. This is it's an E because I can't fault them for doing what they want to do, but. Yeah, it's not for me. I would say that Qalb is more for me by Adria Twins here. This is a very pretty composition, I think. It's a bit overblown in the production department, I would say, but and also like a bit static in the structural development of the song. But the concept comes across with great emotional impact, I gotta say, and it has some really neat vocal lines, some glissandos here and there that really kind of elevate the song. It feels momentarily like a lot of these vocals can kind of soar on top of the instrumental, which is nice. It could be a very beautiful moment on stage for sure. I'm not entirely sold on the song as a whole, but it has its moments and it's very, very pretty overall. So I'm placing this one in the B tier. I think it's a strong effort and looking forward to see what they do with it. And next up will be Haley Azzopardi with Whistleblower here, which is probably one of the more like disappointing listens from this national final for me. I think like the verses, they're built quite well. They have some neat bass walks in there. There's a great kind of build up that builds up with a lot of energy and a lot of fun. There's like a decent flow of energy as well throughout these sections. And then the chorus comes along, which is ultimately incredibly disappointing for me. It's so unimaginative to my ears, unfortunately. It's like some kind of pointless shrieking on top of a simple whistle hook that really sounds like it comes straight out of a sample pack by Kashmir, which I wouldn't count it out that that's probably the case. I'm not gonna just say that without having any kind of backing up, but it sounds exactly like it, and not really been adjusted much there or played around with. It feels somewhat unimaginative to me, and I'm not particularly interested. I think that the hook is killing the song entirely. The verses have something in them. The build-ups are absolutely great at building energy into the song, but the hooks are just not for me. This is another E. I'm sorry, Haley. Moving on to Juno by Victoria Sciberras here, which is a song that also has its moments for sure. I mean, the instrumental section before the second chorus is just quite massive, really. It's a proper engaging moment of the song. I'm feeling very compelled at that part of the track. Vocally, this song is packed with attitude. It could be very, very convincing on stage, of course. And I like the ambition to really make this kind of dramatic, huge pop powerhouse of a tune. I find that to be quite admirable, and I appreciate the effort there. And it also seems like it kind of has a little bit of like a Schlager vibe at the very, very back of it all, which, I'm charmed by. I'm quite charmed by the song and hooked by it as well. I'm not entirely sold on the whole concept. It's not one that I return to that frequently. There's just something about it that hasn't hit me as hard as maybe it should. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. I'm placing this one in the B tier as well. I think it's a strong effort, and we'll see how it comes across live. I'm looking forward to it. The final song from the first semifinal then is Aziza by Calleja, which is a song that absolutely sounds quite nostalgic in a very charming way for me anyway. It's not particularly groundbreaking or fresh really for that matter, but it has a really groovy charm for me anyway. I'm unsure how they can kind of pull off this upbeat tune with a live performance, but it's one that I'd sing along to on the dance floor for sure. So yeah, all the more, kudos for that. I'm placing this one in the B tier as well. I've also realized like I can't sit here and order them within the different tiers because that would just be too difficult for me. So hopefully you don't mind that. I mean, I probably I'm not even going to say anything because it's very difficult for me to just tier them out on their own, and sorting them within the tiers would just be overkill for me. That's the first semifinal though, so you can see, 8 songs qualify, I think, so you can see which 8, at least which 7 I prefer, and then you can take one from the bottom few categories there for being my 8th qualifier, I suppose. Moving on to the second semifinal then. 365 by Kelsey Bellante is the first song in this semifinal, and this one is it's simply not for me. I'm not gonna beat around the bush with it. The instrumental is just packed with random distracting sounds all over the place that does my head in. I'm not sure really what the approach was here. There's some nice work with the attitude on the vocals for sure, but the instrumentally the song is really off-putting for me. It lacks cohesion entirely, I'd say. Could be good, could be absolutely a good fit for like a talent show reel or something like that, but I find the song to be very subpar for a music competition. It seems like it's more trying to just elevate Kelsey here as a vocalist, other than actually presenting something that I would enjoy listening to anyway as a song as a whole. I would feel harsh to put this in the F tier, but I just don't really see the ambition here. I'm placing it in the E tier just because I get it. It's not for me, and I don't really think that it maybe does its purpose in a competition like this, but that's just me. Next up is Stefan Galea's song Lablab, Talk parentheses, which is a little bit of a strange one to me. I find the opening of the song, like the setting of the opening, quite engaging. It has tension. It has quite a substantial atmosphere or ambiance to it. And then it leads into quite an obnoxious chorus, I gotta be honest. And it goes downhill afterwards as the instrumentation really just kind of focuses on plastic sound design and the various synth works. The percussive beats, I would say, they're sporadically scattered around, and that's kind of a cool little feature. And vocally it has its moments too, but the chorus is simply not for me at all, unfortunately. And I will absolutely try to forget that the switch up towards the end even happened. D tier, yeah, why not? It's going in there. Next up is Kantera's song LalaRataTakeke, LalaRataKabum, which I know probably everyone can very easily sing along to immediately. It's a catchy melody for sure, and they must have been really proud of this melody because I mean it's the only thing we hear throughout the entire song really. I think that becomes very repetitive for me. I'm not particularly enjoying that aspect of it, but the fun instrumentation certainly makes it stand out. Because it just has a different sound altogether than all of the other songs in the competition. It feels really playful because of that instrumentation that they've gone for. But oh my, is the song repetitive and annoyingly so for me, unfortunately. However, the ambition of making something unlike anything else in the selection is appreciated. I'd say that. Placing it in the C tier for that. And the song is catchy, so sure, why not? Next up is Love Me Loud by Kelsey Attard, which I think is a really neat effort here in the selection. I gotta say, there's some wonderful chord progression in the chorus here. Probably my favorite from the selection, I would say. It's a song with great personality in its arrangement as well. I love the rhythmic playfulness of the song. It's a very snappy tune. I just hope that the vocals can carry this song's character live as well. It needs a ton of charisma to really work, and if it has that, could be fantastic. The switch up towards the end feels a bit strange at first, but I've kind of warmed up to it. However, the abrupt ending is a big no, which is probably the reason why I'm going to place it in the B tier. But I have a lot of positive things to say about this one, and I really like the songwriting of it. I think the chords are wonderful, and the arrangement is working very much hand in hand with the actual attitude of that arrangement, I'd say. So yeah, nice one. Next up, Concrete here by Nathan Psaila, which is, it's one of these songs that I can't really wrap my head around. Like, how much do I actually enjoy this? Because I enjoy it so much, you have no idea. This sounds like it could have been in, like Melody Festival in 2007, which shouldn't be a compliment maybe, but in my head, it absolutely is. Like, if I was 10 years old, I would be singing this and playing this all day long, every day, because it's just that catchy of a chorus. It's that simple, straight to the point, doesn't hold back in any regard in that case. It knows exactly what it is. It's a sing-along friendly tune that immediately sticks in here. And for me, I just really like that. I mean, still to this day, I said 10-year-old me would love it. I mean, I love it today as well. I think it's just such a great chorus, mainly. The song doesn't sound particularly fresh, not at all. But wow, is it such a mood-boosting, nostalgic pop tune for me. Great melodic writing, and that's really what makes it stick. It's easy, it's accessible, it's sing-along friendly, and I love it regardless of its lack of polish and finesse. It doesn't really matter for me because I find it to be such a fun listen. Placing this one in the A tier. And you can disagree with that. That's completely fine. But it's just something for me. It works for me. And then A tier it is. Next up is Kant by Miriana Conte here. And yeah, I mean, this is not my kind of music. And everyone knows that. If you've ever watched a single video of mine before, you know that I would never like a song like this. It's great for everyone who likes this kind of stuff. I get that, like, maybe the hook absolutely has a melody that's somewhat memorable. So that's something, but overall the main thing that I'm feeling when I listen to this song is like it's supposed to be this tee-hee funny and well, to me it's not tee-hee funny because it's just like I just sigh, and I'm disappointed by how much you need to embrace being this, like, instead of prioritizing to write something intriguing or memorable or something that's actually playful or creative. Instead, you're relying on the tee-hee funny, and that's kind of where you lose me. For me, this just has to be an F because it goes in an approach of not taking itself, like not rewarding itself for the redeeming qualities it has. Instead of it's kind of shifting focus to something that just doesn't work for me. I don't really know how to explain it in a different way. Like it's this very self-indulgent pop tune with predictable resolutions, and I mean, what we end up with is something that just never would appeal to me personally. I'm moving on to something that I can speak more positively about because I really like the song Gazliet here by Dario Bezzina and L-Muni. I think the verses may be like a little bit uninteresting in the song, but the choruses are so vibey. Like this is the biggest vibe of the national final here for sure. Super fond of the instrumentation being used in here. I think it stands out. It's a proper like transformative listen with its own world building, and I love that aspect of it. And the chorus just flows so smoothly. It's a great foot tapper. It's a great like head nod alonger. And has a really like sweet and soft vocal approach on top of it all. Everything just feels so calm and relaxing while also having this subdued energy to it that makes me engaged to the song as well. It's a clear A-tier song for me. This is the one that I'm sorting because this is my favorite song of the selection. I'm spoiling that, I guess. But this is the top of the A-tier. This is the song that I'm rooting for the most until I've seen it live anyway. We'll see what happens after that. And actually, I got another song that I'm very fond of here. This is Unheard by Krista Suyak, which is a song that's very much like, of course, in the vein of Olivia Rodrigo and that kind of music that's very popular these days. And I'm kind of a sucker for that. I really am. I'm, you know, that it manages to hit me very much emotionally. This song is fragile, it's vulnerable, and I can't help but to feel quite touched by it, really. I would say that the middle eight section there towards the end, it feels kind of out of place and ruins the emotional impact that I'm feeling from the song. But I love the full-time switch up towards the end, like the final chorus paired with that electric guitar joining in on a layer there. And I think it just comes together so well. It's a beautiful listen for me. It hits me and it works for me. It's an A-tier song, has to be for me. Very looking forward to seeing what they do with it. It needs to have like the proper hard-hitting performance to it for it to really work, but I think it can absolutely nail that. It's very touching to me anyway. Next up is a song called Mieg Bis by Kurt Anthony. And this is like a song where I'm feeling like in my head, this is what I should be all about. I should absolutely love this. It feels heartful. It feels convincingly sung. The instrumental is scaled back just to balance kind of the song very nicely. The chorus melody is certainly beautiful, I would say. It feels like a proper kind of throwback to some of the more romantic ballads of the 90s in Eurovision, and I really love that aspect of it. I just find this song in the studio cut to be a bit too lifeless. Hopefully that will come across, like that will come to life when we see it live though, because I have very high hopes for this one. It could be something that just really hits me. I hope to be touched greatly when I see the live performance of it, because I think this has the potential is absolutely there, but it's just not something that I return to in the studio cut. Maybe it's lacking a little bit of energy or life in that sense for me to see myself returning to it. However, the performance could absolutely change that. For the moment, I'm going with a C, because that's kind of where I feel. It's just my feeling right now. I like the song, but I have my kind of I'm cautious around it really, because I don't find it to be that engaging. It's just very pretty and could work for me, but it hasn't quite gotten there yet. Rubble and Stone by The Alchemists. I would say that this one maybe has reached me, because I mean, these singer-songwriter tunes, they're are usually quite charming for me if they go about it the right way. This one doesn't feel, you know, tacky or so like that. Like the song is nothing really outstanding, but it's sweet and it lifts my spirit. It's very harmless and doesn't try to be tacky, as I said. It's just kind of upbeat, inviting, and warm around it. Simple, straight to the point, and I like this continuous energy that the song has. It's maintained very well from the high tempo of the song. I think everything's just kind of going quite well with this one. I'm placing it in the B tier. I'm a fan. I'm also quite a fan of Yo Listen by Martina Borg here, or Borg, I'm not sure, which is a song that's very characteristic. Like the vocal delivery is absolutely very characteristic. It has a punchy beat as well, quite a fun groove throughout the song, I would say. It feels dynamic, it feels forceful, and the song doesn't hold back, so it's quite enjoyable. It has an abrupt ending, which is, you know, always a nitpick of mine. But other than that, I think everything just kind of works about it. I would never imagine myself to be, you know, very fond of a song called Yo Listen. But it just has that kind of attitude about it and personality that just manages to spark something exciting within the listening experience here. I think I'm throwing this one up in the B tier as well. It's a fun little listen. Yeah, why not? And finally, we got Breaking the Cycle by Miguel Bonello, which is a song that I'm not really entirely sold on the vocal style of, I have to say. The song has its moments, for sure. Melodically, it's pleasant. I would say the beat is balanced in supporting it. I really have a qualm with this kind of breaking the cycle line, like the elongated ending is really kind of underwhelming during those choruses there. It feels like kind of you don't really finish on a high note here. You finish on quite a disappointing, dragged out note that doesn't really provide a lot of excitement. I'm not sure if I feel like this song really has that purposeful development as it builds either. There are static transitions throughout, like between the sections. It's a solid effort with some potential for an upgrade, I would say. I'm probably placing this one in the D tier as well. And that's got to be that for the MESC 2025 tier list. I got my 4 favorites and then a lot of songs in the B tier actually. I feel like maybe it's a bit difficult to like compare the national finals because this hasn't been my favorite national final to sit through, but still I have a lot of songs in towards the top few categories. I think I'm just kind of comparing the songs in relation to the national final that they're participating in. Maybe I wouldn't be so lenient with my B tier providation. That's not a word. But giving out B tier status to songs if they were in a different selection. But in here, I feel like it's warranted. So this is my tier list. Do share your thoughts on what your favorite songs are from MESC 2025, of course. Have I been really, really harsh unfairly on one song or two or several? Let me know. And have I been way too generous? Maybe I have to some. Let me know. Yeah, I think that's got to be everything for this one. Hopefully, I can see some of you in the live watch along tonight for the first semifinal of MESC. I will be streaming it on YouTube. So keep an eye on that if you're interested. Other than that, hopefully I'll see you again very, very soon. Take care of yourselves until then, and bye for now.